The executive pastor for one of the city's biggest congregations shot and killed, his wife injured, and another woman charged with murder. Thanks for joining us. I'm Richard Ransom. Katina is on assignment tonight. Brodes Perry of Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church was shot to death last night in his Collierville apartment. Police say Latoshia Daniels was still holding the gun when they arrived. Local 24 News reporter Brad Brodes is live in Collierville tonight after talking to witnesses. Brad?
At about 10:20 p.m., Latoshia Daniels arrived unannounced at the Collierville apartment of Pastor Brodes Perry and his wife, Tabatha Perry. She carried a handgun. Moments later, gunshots rang out. Brodes Perry fell, struck multiple times, and Tabatha was wounded. Witnesses say Daniels kept repeating, "You broke my heart," as she fired. Police found her reloading when they entered. Investigators later revealed she had driven from Little Rock, Arkansas, armed and determined. But in her defense, Daniels claimed she bought that gun to kill herself, not him. In court, the jury was forced to weigh two starkly different narratives: a premeditated act of revenge or a desperate outburst by a fragile mind. The verdict would hinge on whether the killing was coldly calculated or fueled by a broken heart. Stay with us as we unravel this shocking story and uncover the heartbreaking details of what led to this senseless loss. Before we begin, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? And what are your thoughts as the story unfolds? Welcome to True Crime Tales, where we reveal the crimes that shock communities and the secrets hidden behind closed doors. These are real people, real events, real consequences. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's begin.
Not only have we experienced the death of Brodes Perry to violence.
On April 4th, 2019, police respond to a shooting about 30 minutes east of Memphis. Once they arrived, they found Pastor Brodes Perry with several gunshot wounds and his wife Tabatha shot in the left shoulder.
The rumors swelling around his murder leave us shocked and shaken.
According to the police affidavit, Tabatha let former acquaintance Latoshia Daniels into the apartment. Once Perry arrived home, he and Daniels spoke for several minutes. As she was leaving, she pulled out a handgun and began shooting, hitting Perry 5 times and telling him, quote, "You broke my heart."
She also shot Tabatha Perry as she was kneeling beside her husband, trying to get him to quit, trying to help him and trying to get the defendant to quit shooting. She was still on the scene with the gun when the police department arrived.
Police shot Daniels and she was taken to the hospital for her injuries, where she attempted to get away from police. She faces charges of first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, resisting arrest, and assaulting a police officer. The defense claims Daniels was in an abusive open relationship with Brodes Perry and went to the home to try and fix the relationship after he broke up with her.
Brodes Perry was born and raised in a structured household that emphasized faith and discipline. His early years reflected an environment where community involvement and church participation were integral parts of upbringing. Influenced heavily by family members who practiced Christianity, Perry engaged with church programs from a young age, including youth ministry and leadership roles. His ambition to join ministry reportedly formed during adolescence, shaped by consistent exposure to church leaders and spiritual activities. Perry advanced within ministry roles, eventually becoming an executive pastor at Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church. His responsibilities included organizational oversight, community outreach initiatives, counseling programs, and guiding spiritual leadership across multiple church operations. He was involved in designing support systems for struggling members through faith-based intervention strategies. Within his congregation and community, he was considered a consistent figure in mentorship and spiritual guidance. He often spoke on discipline, accountability, and structural alignment with faith principles, earning a reputation as a principled leader. Pastor Perry was married to his wife, Tabatha. The duration of the marriage was significant, and they were often seen as united front figures in church collaborations and events. Their personal life was not publicly controversial, and no confirmed reports of internal marital issues were made available before the incident. Perry frequently traveled for ministry and leadership engagements, which involved meetings with faith leaders, conferences, and counseling initiatives. Publicly, he was regarded as a strong leader with consistent moral displays and principled lifestyle adherence. He maintained privacy regarding personal struggles or emotional matters. Prior to the incident, there were no public controversies linked to him, contributing to the perception that his personal life reflected his spiritual teachings. Latoshia Daniels was raised in Little Rock, Arkansas. Her upbringing reportedly included challenges within the household environment, with exposure to domestic conflict according to her defense during trial proceedings. A stepfather identified as a pastor may have given her early access to church practices and leadership structures, serving as a possible early connection to religious circles. Daniels pursued higher education in social work with a concentration in criminal justice. She later became a licensed clinical social worker specializing in cases involving anger management and domestic violence. Professionally, she was recognized for her skills in emotional regulation and therapeutic behavioral management, which created concern regarding the dynamics of her actions in the present case. Her knowledge in handling mental and emotional instability cases stood in contradiction to what later unfolded. Documentation during court testimony referenced periods of depression, emotional dysregulation, and instability. She reportedly experienced prior suicidal ideations. There was no recorded criminal history prior to the incident. These aspects raised questions during trial assessments, particularly regarding the escalation to violent behavior. Daniels reportedly met Perry while residing in Little Rock. Their communications continued after Perry relocated to Tennessee. The long-term nature of their interaction was explored during trial proceedings, with Daniels indicating an expectation of emotional commitment. She referred to a practice period and suggested feelings of betrayal tied to her understanding of their relationship. Perry's interpretation of the relationship was not publicly confirmed. The discrepancy between expectation and reality was cited as a possible emotional trigger. Daniels traveled from Arkansas to Tennessee without announcing plans to the Perry family or any known associates. Records suggest no prior communication from Daniels indicating intent to visit. Defense implied that an emotional trigger may have occurred prior to the travel, though no direct evidence was confirmed. Daniels arrived at the apartment shared by Perry and his wife, Tabatha. She was recognized by Tabatha and allowed to enter without incident. Initial conversation reportedly lasted approximately 30 minutes, with discussions considered casual in nature. No immediate threats or signs of confrontation were reported during this period. Approximately 30 minutes later, Perry arrived. He entered and engaged in communication with Daniels and his wife. Testimony indicates that the atmosphere shifted slightly, with subtle tension beginning to surface. No direct argument was recorded at this stage. The final segment of group interaction lasted around 10 minutes. Witnesses identified possible emotional signals from Daniels. As movements toward the exit occurred, rapid escalation commenced. Upon reaching the door, Daniels reportedly produced a firearm and discharged it. Pastor Perry was struck multiple times. When Tabatha attempted to intervene, Daniels aimed the weapon at her and reportedly stated, "You ruined my life," before firing. Police reports confirmed Perry died from sustained injuries. His wife survived but was critically injured. Following the shooting, Daniels was restrained by Tabatha until law enforcement arrived. Emergency services transported the victims, and Daniels was taken into custody on scene. Law enforcement interviewed neighbors and processed the scene. Daniels was charged with first-degree murder and attempted murder.
The executive pastor for one of the city's biggest congregations shot and killed, his wife injured, and another woman charged with murder. Thanks for joining us. I'm Richard Ransom. Katina is on assignment tonight. Brodes Perry of Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church was shot to death last night in his Collierville apartment. Police say Latoshia Daniels was still holding the gun when they arrived. Local 24 News reporter Brad Broders is live in Collierville tonight after talking to witnesses. Brad?
Yeah, Richard, neighbors who live here said it was a chaotic scene here last night with several gunshots and screams being heard throughout this complex, a complex where crime is rare and shootings of any type, domestic or random, are even more rare.
It was surprising. Definitely not expected here.
The sounds jolted Cade Kirkendall last night from outside his open patio door.
I think there was like 5 or 6 gunshots in the first kind of blast, and then there was a little bit of a delay, a woman screaming, and then I heard some more, like probably 5 more.
Kirkendall said when he looked towards building 1681 in the Meridian Park apartments, he saw officers draw their guns before paramedics arrived.
I saw him bring the gentleman down on a stretcher, and then I saw the woman come down, and she had obviously been shot in the shoulder.
Several people confirmed to Local 24 News that gentleman who was shot and later died was Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church Executive Pastor Brodes Perry. The injured woman was his wife. Collierville police arrested and charged Latoshia Daniels, a certified anger management specialist, but have not said what her motive was for shooting the couple. In a statement, Mississippi Boulevard's senior pastor said Perry was a phenomenal man whose service and heart will be truly missed by all.
It's a sad thing, sad deal.
Now, the accused shooter at this complex last night, Latoshia Daniels, is being held without bond. Her first scheduled hearing is Tuesday at Collierville Town Court. Reporting live in Collierville, Pastor Brodes, Local 24 News.
All right, thank you.
During trial proceedings, prosecution focused on premeditation, highlighting that Daniels traveled across state lines armed and unannounced. Defense presented mental instability arguments, referencing depression, emotional trauma, and potential confusion surrounding the nature of the relationship. The specialized background of Daniels in emotional regulation and trauma treatment was emphasized by prosecution as evidence of conscious awareness. The jury reached a guilty verdict. Daniels was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole.
Defense calls Latoshia Daniels.
You can raise your right hand. You swear affirm to tell the whole truth? Yes, ma'am. All right, you may have a seat.
Can you please state and spell your name?
Latoshia, L-A-T-O-S-H-I-A, Daniels, D-A-N-I-E-L-S.
Before we get into all of the allegations here, have you ever testified in a situation like this before?
No,
Is this a comfortable situation?
not at all.
Please let me know if you need it. Okay. I want to talk to you about, first, your childhood. Your childhood, okay?
Okay.
Can you tell me about your parents?
My parents, my father was retired military and a minister, and my mom, she was my mother.
Was your biological father the man that you called Dad?
No, I was raised by my stepfather, and so I called him Father, and my biological father I called Papa.
Now, the dad that you lived with, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did he do for a living?
Once he retired from the military, he was, from my knowledge, he worked at M.M. Combs, and he retired from there. And then he began to work for the Salvation Army, where he ran the community community center where the youth would go. And so once he retired from there, he was just home, sitting on the porch and buying land and doing gardens.
At any point did he become an ordained minister?
He did. I was in elementary, but I do recall him becoming an ordained minister.
What would you consider his reputation to have been within your community?
He was highly respected in our community. Everyone knew of my father and respected him well.
And did they know that you were your father's daughter?
Oh yes, to the point to where, like, if anybody seen my sisters and I, they would say, "That's Mr. Briggs' daughters." Like they knew that who we were.
Did that mean something in that community to be his daughter?
Most definitely. and we carried ourselves accordingly.
Now, how were things at home, outside of public?
Things at home wasn't as what they seemed in public. My father did physically abuse my mother, and I was the one who would at nights wake up and beg him to stop.
Did you have any siblings in the home?
I did. I had 2 little sisters.
Did the 3 of you hear as your dad would beat your mom?
I'm not sure if they did, but I did, and I often would wake up and ask him to stop, and even sometimes try pulling them apart.
When you were in public, did you let that side of your life show?
Oh, not at all. I went to school and I did the things that I was supposed to do, participated in sports, and just carried myself, I guess, in a normal fashion.
Is that what was expected of you?
Yes, we didn't say or tell what was going on inside of the home.
Now I want to talk to you about late in your teens, okay?
Mm-hmm.
When you were 17, you got pregnant.
I did.
What happened when you got pregnant?
I shared with my dad, well, I don't know if I shared with him or not, but I was told once he found out that I needed to get married.
Did you get married?
I did.
And was that to Rodney?
Yes.
How would you describe your relationship with Rodney?
In the beginning, it was good. We both had graduated from high school, and so we was building a life together. We moved from our hometown to Little Rock, Arkansas, and purchased a home, and we were doing well. Rodney decided to go to police academy, and during that time I helped him. I made sure he studied. I did everything that I could to ensure that he made it through police academy and was successful. Once he, probably months after joining the force, things began to shift. He would ask me to do certain things that I was like out of the norm, but I was in college, and so he would then say, well, you're probably going to want somebody from college, and I didn't understand that because like I loved Rodney. I wanted our family. But even though we didn't argue, we grew distant, and I never understood why until I found out that he was having an affair.
Did you actually catch him in the act?
Not in the beginning, but during, he decided that we was going to separate, and one day while I was at school, he had packed up all my stuff, put it in a U-Haul, and drove it to my mom's house.
How long were you married to Rodney?
For 4 years.
Did you eventually get divorced?
We did.
Okay. Now, after that divorce, did you attempt suicide?
I actually did it right before we actually finalized the divorce.
Did you commit suicide because of the divorce? I'm sorry, attempt to commit suicide because of the divorce.
Yes, I just didn't feel like I felt like a failure. That was the one thing. I felt like a failure. I didn't think that I was enough. And so I didn't feel I had anything to offer.
But you did go on to get an education, right?
I did.
And you didn't let your divorce or your teen pregnancy, you didn't let those things stop you from trying to get better in your life, right?
Right. I wanted to push forward. I wanted to be successful. And I mean, I had to be. So I kept going.
And you eventually became a licensed clinical social worker.
I did.
Now, I want to talk to you about your second marriage, okay? That was to Brian.
Yes.
Now, how long were you married to Brian?
I was married to Brian for 8 years.
Was that relationship positive?
No.
Did you feel loved in that relationship?
No.
Did you feel wanted in that relationship?
Not at all.
Would you describe Brian as being emotionally distant?
He very much was so.
Emotionally neglectful?
Yes.
Did you try to get Brian to go into marriage counseling?
Yes, we had a discussion and he didn't want to do it.
Did you determine that you would go get your own counseling?
Yes.
Did you go see a psychologist?
I did not.
Why?
Because of the field that I was in, I just wanted, I wanted spiritual guidance, but also because of me being in private practice, I was afraid of being that individual that was getting the water cooler talk per se. Just in my field, I didn't have anyone that I felt like I could really go to and trust because I was very closed off. I didn't share my business with anybody. And so going through that and being in private practice, I didn't want to take what was my income because I needed to be able to take care of the things in my life. So I did not. But I did know that spiritually I wanted some direction.
Why did you feel like you needed spiritual direction?
Just from my first marriage, when I went to my dad and told him that I was getting a divorce, the one thing he said to me that just resonated with me was that he said he would have gotten an attorney taking away my children, but it was all just like, I just felt like it was like a punishment from God, and so I just didn't want to be in another failed marriage. I just didn't.
Did your dad consider it your failure that you got divorced?
Yes.
Did you seek out spiritual counseling?
I did.
Now I want to talk to you about St. Mark's, okay?
Okay.
You need some water?
Yes.
May I approach your honor?
Yes.
Thank you. What is St. Mark's?
It's the church that I attended in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Is it a big church or a small church?
It's a big church.
Did you have any particular role within the church?
Yes. I participated in evangelism, but eventually became a life group leader.
How were you selected to become a life group leader?
One Sunday, was talking to, just in shaking hands with some of the pastors, Pastor Perry, Brodes Perry, he had asked me, he was like, you thinking about being a life group member? And at that time, I was like, I'll consider it. And then eventually I did go ahead and sign up to become a life group leader.
And this was prior to you reaching out for that spiritual counseling, right?
Correct.
How many members go to St. Mark's?
At the time, approximately 6,000.
How many people were selected to be life group leaders?
In our first set of leadership training, it may have been approximately 60 to 80 of us.
Okay. And were you then subdivided into groups?
Yes, we were divided into cohorts.
How many people were in each cohort?
About 8 to 10.
How many people were in your cohort?
It was about 8 of us.
Who was the supervising pastor for your cohort?
Brodes was our leader.
Would you consider y'all's group to have been a close group?
We were very close.
Did you become close with Pastor Perry through that group?
I did.
Is that why you reached out to him for spiritual counseling?
Yes, I trusted him.
Now I want to talk to you about that counseling, okay? When you approached Brodes Perry about counseling, did you explain why you wanted counseling?
I did.
What did you tell him?
I told him that my husband and I were having some marital issues, and I just needed to figure out spiritually which direction I just needed some spiritual guidance on direction.
Did Pastor Perry agree to meet with you?
He did.
Where did y'all meet?
We met in my office.
Why?
I didn't feel comfortable with being in the church, and I wanted to be in a safe space because this was, again, something that I was not fully embracing, that I had to deal with, and I wanted to be in a space where I knew that I can be able to be vulnerable.
During the first counseling session, what did you discuss?
Everything that was going on within my marriage.
How long was the first counseling session?
It was about 2 hours.
Were you emotional during that process?
Yes.
Were you open?
I was.
Did you tell him very personal, private things?
I did.
How long, well, at the end of that session, did you determine at that time that you were going to ask for a second session?
Yes.
How long until you had a second session?
It was approximately 2 to 3 weeks before the next one.
Did it feel good to get all of that off of your chest?
Yes.
Did you reach out to Brodes Perry for a second counseling session?
I did.
Did he say that he would come do a second counseling session?
He did.
When you had your second counseling session, did you ask him about any odd behavior from the first session?
I did.
What was that?
In the first session, from the moment he walked through the door, he had his hands in his coat pocket, his jacket pocket, and he sat there the entire time during the session with his hands in his pocket. So I found that to be a little strange, but I didn't say anything in the first session. So I asked him during the section session, because he came in and he didn't have his hands in his pocket, and I was like, what was that with you having your hands in your pockets? And at that time he told me it was because he was trying to maintain his professionalism.
Was that the first time that you had any indication that he might be interested in you?
That was the first time.
Did you proceed to start with the second counseling session?
We did.
What happened after you started the counseling session?
As I was talking and sharing, Brodes reached over and grabbed, I had a 2-arm chair, and he pulled me toward him and began to passionately kiss me. And from there, in that session, we did have sex for the first time.
Were you proud of that encounter?
In hindsight, no, but at that time, he was giving me everything that I had been missing for a long time.
Did you know that he was married?
I did.
Did you know his wife?
I had, at that time, I had seen her at church, but didn't know of her.
You got to know her better later?
Yes.
How did you feel about the fact that Brodes was married?
At that time, honestly, I did not think about it. I knew that we both were married, and I was engaged in what he was giving me.
Had you had any attention like that in a long time?
No, I hadn't.
Had
In
you
years.
had any emotional attention?
Not in years.
Physical attention?
Not like that, no.
After your counseling sessions, did you end up getting divorced?
That was in February, and I did end up getting divorced in December of that year.
That's when it was finalized?
Yes.
And did Pastor Perry encourage you to get divorced?
We talked about it, and there were times whenever we would be on trips, he would make mention of, oh, we can't do that until you get a divorce, or we can't do this until you get a divorce.
Now, I want to talk to you about your relationship with Brodes Perry, okay?
Okay.
After y'all had sex, did Brodes give you any particular instructions?
Yes. He immediately told me to download a app for us to be able to communicate. That app was called Confide.
Tell the jury what the Confide app did.
The Confide app, it's whenever you would send a message, and when you read that message, it would disappear. You couldn't screenshot it or anything like that. It would immediately disappear once you took your finger off the screen.
Did Brodes teach you how to use that app?
As we continued the app, it was probably maybe a week or two later, he found out that if you had, like, other people had your phone number in your phone and they had that app, then they could see you on it. So he had me to change my name on it and also change the way that I attached it to my account. So I went from having my phone number to coming up with a email address. So I made a new email address to be able to attach it that nobody else had.
And he taught you what all you needed to do for that app to do that?
Correct.
So that it could not be traceable back to you?
Correct.
And he did that all very quickly?
Yes.
Did he have, or was it almost a rule? Was it a rule that you had to use that app to talk to him?
Most definitely. That was our main form of communication. As the relationship went on, if he wanted to use a different form of communication, like an email or maybe even direct messaging, he would then tell me, go to this platform or go to that one. But it was not, if I was to reach out to him without him reaching out to me first, I had to use the Confide app.
Did he set any other rules for your relationship?
Yes. As far as it came to trips that he wanted me to go on with him, I was the one who had to pay my way as far as airfare or travel, and then he would, his words would, he would then take care of the rest, meaning that I would have somewhere to stay. When I was in the hotel rooms, I was to stay naked. I couldn't have on any clothes. I had to, and the only way I would have clothes on is if, like, we were getting ready to go out. But other than that, when in the hotel room, I had to be naked. I couldn't, if something was to have happened to him as far as medically, he did not want me to call 911. I would have to call, who we referenced him as the professor, but it was Pastor Pointer. I would have to call him in order to get him emergency attention. He said verbatim lots of times, do not call 911.
Did he add any rules towards the end of your relationship?
At the end of the relationship, he wanted me to say yes, sir, and no, sir to him.
Now, I want to kind of break those down individually, okay?
Okay.
You were required to use the Confide app.
Yes.
I want to talk to you about the travel, okay? What kind of trips did Brodes want you to come on?
The very first one was to Vegas. He had some convention or something that he was at, and so that was the first one. He had invited me to go to Cuba with him that year, but he ended up right at the last minute changing it, saying that Tabatha wanted to go with him, so she went with him, and he was like, well, since you're not going to Cuba, go ahead and sign up to go to Israel for the church group trip. So I signed up to go to Israel and paid my way for that. I traveled with him to Savannah whenever he would go with Pastor Pointer.
Were there some trips that were for the pastors?
Yes.
And then other trips that were for the church group members?
The only church group that trip we went on was to Israel. The rest of them would be if he was doing something on his own, I guess, speaking engagement wise, or if he was following Pastor Pointer.
And then were there also personal trips?
And then we had personal trips.
If Brodes told you that he wanted you to go on that trip, was it expected that you would be on that trip?
I was on that trip.
Now I want to talk to you about the hotel room rule, okay? What would happen when Brodes would walk in and you were wearing clothing in a hotel room?
Once I did it and just, I don't know if I was cold or what, but when he was like, why do you still have on clothes? And when that happened, he withdrew affection from me. Like he was very cold, didn't want to be intimate until after I got undressed. But even then, it was then like a punishment I had to wait for him to decide that he was going to then give affection.
Now I want to talk to you about Pastor Pointer, okay?
Okay.
You called him the professor?
Yes.
What was his position within St. Mark's?
He was the lead pastor of St. Mark.
Did he know about your relationship with Brodes?
Yes, we hung out together a lot.
Do you know, is that why Pastor Pointer was supposed to be his medical emergency contact?
Correct.
Now I want to talk to you about the beginning of your relationship with Brodes, okay? Mm-hmm. How would you describe y'all's relationship at the beginning?
At the beginning, it was, I'm gonna have to say, amazing. I felt beautiful. He showed me so much attention. We did all kind of things together. It was, even we gelled intellectually. It was a great relationship.
Everything that you didn't have before?
Everything I didn't have before. Even to the fact I show up in my office and he had me a dozen of roses sent to me. It was just like everything that I wanted, everything that I even shared with him that I didn't have, he was giving it to me.
Did you also give him things?
I did.
What kind of things did Brodes like?
As the relationship progressed, he got into cigars, and that was a big thing for him, to the point to where he had someone to draw him up a logo, and then I selected the name, so he became the Smoking Savant. And so the more expensive the cigar, the better for him. Then it went from cigars to bourbon, and he had to have the best of the bourbons.
Did you buy him the best of the bourbons?
Yes, I did.
Did you buy him the best of cigars?
I did.
Did you buy him other things?
He wanted this Toomey briefcase for work. I think it was like $400. I got him that. He was working out, and so he needed more workout clothes, and so I purchased him like $400 worth of gear in Nike gear. There was a time when he wanted to redo his closet and get some things organized, and I bought all the organization things to make sure that whatever he needed, I did it so that he could be good.
Did he also expect you to do that?
It got to a point to where it did become an expectation.
At the beginning of your relationship, at some point, did Tabatha go to Florida?
Yes, in 2017, it was around, I think, October. Brodes said that he had sent Tabatha back to Florida and that they were separated. He said that he just needed, he was feeling this urge of, he had this thing of saying that he was always wanting to be single. He never knew what it meant to be a single man. And so in that instance, he was sending her back so he could explore that to some degree.
Did he indicate to you that they were separated?
Yes.
How long was she in Florida?
At least to after Christmas.
So over a month?
Yes.
2 months?
Yes.
And during that period of time, were you staying with him a lot?
Yes, I stayed probably about 3 or 4 nights with him during that time. And we also went out of the country.
Now, I want to talk to you about when y'all would travel together, kind of what you would, or I'm sorry, not when you travel together, the things that y'all would do together.
Okay.
Travel was one of them, right?
Yes.
And did you both get interested in bourbon?
I did start eventually tasting them. He would always ask me to taste and try to figure out the notes or the different contents of them, but it wasn't something that I just enjoyed.
What about cigars?
Again, I did begin to smoke certain cigars. He picked out one that was better for me than the others that wasn't too strong.
Did you go with him to cigar lounges?
Yes. Everywhere we traveled, we would find cigar lounges.
Did you actually pay his dues to cigar clubs?
The first, I paid 2 sets of dues. The first set of dues was at Dave's and Sons, and those won that much. And then the second one was at a club called 1836.
Were those expensive?
They were $125.
A month?
Yes.
Did he ask you to pay that?
No.
You just did
I
to
did
make him
because,
happy?
yes.
Did you engage in any physical activities together?
We ran together. We eventually began cycling. He got upset with me because I did not purchase his bike. I was like, I can't afford your $2,500 bike and mine, and that did cause him to be upset. But he eventually got his bike and I got mine, and we joined a cycling club together. We also exercised together. We would go swimming. So we did those things.
Around those kind of activities, did you have any particular rules that you had to follow?
Now, if we were at the cigar lounge and we was not hanging out with a certain group, he would have me to call a certain individual to invite her to come, so that it looked like it was more of a church thing than it was just he and I hanging out. And that was just kind of the case even with the running. It was going to always be somebody from the church, even though they didn't know they were a third party. It was the way of being able for us to still be together, but it not look like it was just us together. It would always be someone from the church.
And who made that rule to have somebody else always there?
That was him.
I want to talk to you now about ethical non-monogamy, okay?
Yes.
Did Brodes talk to you about ethical non-monogamy?
Yes.
Was this a lifestyle that he was interested in?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what Brodes told you about ethical non-monogamy? What is it?
It is where individuals are able to have multiple relationships, but everyone in the relationship must consent.
Did Brodes tell you that he had talked to Tabatha about ethical non-monogamy?
He did.
Did he tell you that Tabatha had said she was comfortable with it, but he just hadn't told her about you yet?
He said that she had given him permission to be open on his side of the marriage.
So she was not allowed to be open on her side.
Correct.
But he told you that she had given him permission to go outside.
Yes.
But he had not told her about you, to your knowledge.
No, not to my knowledge.
Did Brodes ever give you a book to read?
The Ethical Slut is the book that he wanted me to read so that I could have a more foundation and knowledge of this lifestyle that he was wanting to be in.
Did you read that book?
I did.
Were you interested in the lifestyle espoused by that book?
No, I was not.
How soon into the relationship did Brodes Perry start discussing this concept of ethical non-monogamy?
Actually, it started, so we were just having conversations about things in life that we wanted to do, bucket list type of things that we were curious in. And at that time, he was like, one of the things I want to do is have a threesome. And I was like, yeah, no, that's nothing I've ever thought about. But he was like, well, I've had one before, but I paid for it, and this time I want to have one where I don't have to pay for it. And so he began to speak about, the term he would use is Tabatha and I being sister wives. Didn't quite know what that meant, but as things went on, he would start to talk about me watching them have sex. And he was like, but I think she'll be on board with it, just give it time. But so this would be the dialogue. And that dialogue just continued on to where it went from watchers to now wanting to have the threesomes, and then that's when the ethical slut was introduced. And so it was just like a progression of this lifestyle that he wanted.
So kind of breaking that down, how far into the relationship did he start discuss wanting a watcher with you?
It was pretty early on. I would have to say it was before they took their trip to Cuba, which was around his birthday in May, that he began to talk. He was talking about the watcher. So that was 3 months.
Was that a different trip than the birthday trip that he took where he had the threesome?
Yes, that was a different trip.
Okay. Did the threesome birthday trip happen while y'all were together or before?
It happened while we were together.
Did you know that he was going to do that?
The threesome trip in Cuba?
No, when he went and paid for the threesome.
Oh, that was well before I knew him.
Okay. At any point, did you watch him and Tabatha have sex?
No.
Was Tabatha ever invited to watch you and Brodes have sex?
No.
Were you comfortable with the concept of a watcher?
No.
Was Brodes persistent about a watcher?
Very much so.
Explain that for me.
Everywhere we went, he would even text me and say, "Hey, you need to find us a watcher. Find us a watcher." And so I got to the point I was like, if I can find somebody, hopefully I can get him to stop. So I asked a friend of mine if she would do it for us, and she was like, if I do, we're taking it to our grave. He had me to tell her to download Confide, and we were able to dialogue three-way, and the things that he was asking her to do, she just backed out.
Did that whole thing make you very uncomfortable?
Very much so.
Why were you willing to even entertain it?
I wanted to make him happy.
So now I want to talk to you about Brodes wanting to expand the ethical non-monogamy. Well, I guess first, was he actually engaging in ethical non-monogamy?
No.
Tabatha had no idea any of this was going on, right?
No.
As far as you knew, she knew that that's what he wanted, but he hadn't told her.
As far as I knew, correct.
And you've heard differently from even that here.
Yes.
Did Brodes ask you about expanding the relationship beyond you?
He did.
When he asked you about that, how did you respond?
I told him I didn't want to.
Did he tell you, well, my wife's on board with it, so why isn't my girlfriend?
That's exactly what he said.
Did that cause problems between you and Brodes?
At first, no, but as it continued to go on, it did. Especially after he joined like this, he called it a book club, but they met on Marco Polo talking about the book, The Ethical Slut, and so the more that he engaged in that, it became to where it was, because he was more like, why are you not on board with this? And I'm like, why would I be? Like, it doesn't make sense, because we already have limited time together, so why would I say, yes, you can be able to be with multiple women? And so it was that part, it was hard.
Did you love Brodes Perry?
I shouldn't have, but I did.
Were you in love with Brodes Perry?
I was.
Were you wanting to build a life with Brodes Perry?
I wanted what we had at that time, yes.
And y'all saw each other frequently, right?
We saw each other just about every day. I would cook for him, and so he would come to my office to eat lunch. If he didn't come to the office, I would drop it off for him. But it got to the point to where he knew my code to my office, so he would just come in. He knew where to get his lunch, warm it up, and if I had a session, of course, he would wait out in his vehicle, but other than that, he would come in and we would sit there and have lunch every day.
How did Brodes react when you told him that you were not open to expanding to allow him to have more girlfriends?
He was emotionally distant. Like, well, he would tell me, well, you need to go and find someone. And I'd be like, I don't want anyone but you. And so he knew that would play on like my insecurities. So one time when he said, you need to go out and find someone, I said, well, what if I do? And he said, well, then we won't be together. So he knew that was going to get to me because I wanted to be with him. I enjoyed our time together when we did have it. And so he used the emotional part, the affection. He would give it to me, withdraw it if I wasn't really complying with what he wanted.
Since all of this has happened, have you had time to really retrospectively consider your relationship with Brodes?
Yes.
I want to talk to you, we'll get back to that. I want to talk to you about that Marco Polo group, okay?
Okay.
Brodes was in an ethical non-monogamy group with 2 other women, right?
Yes.
Were you a part of that group?
I was not.
Were you ever allowed to be involved with that group?
I wasn't.
But you knew about it.
Yes.
Would he have let you contribute?
That was the first time that of any activity that he done that he didn't even invite me to do.
Did he actively keep it from you?
I would say so, because with any other thing he did, even to joining like a bourbon society, like we had memberships to a lot of things together, but that was one thing that he did not invite me to.
I want to talk to you about when Brodes and Tabatha Perry moved to Memphis, okay?
Okay.
Mississippi Boulevard reached out to Brodes, right?
To my knowledge, according to him, the pastor from Mississippi Boulevard reached out to Pastor Pointer, and then Pastor Pointer shared that with Brodes.
Had Brodes, to your knowledge, had any issues at St. Mark's?
Yes, he would tell me a lot about conflict that he was having with some of his coworkers. And then there was one instance where, according to him, he had misuse of a credit card.
Your Honor, this is going to the context of their relationship, just getting background on, this is going to her buying things, paying for things. This is a debt that she repaid for him, and that's what it's going into. Ms. Daniels, I'm going to rephrase my question a little bit, okay? At some point, did a situation arise where you had to pay back money to the church for Brodes?
Yes.
How much was that?
The debt was $2,500, but I ended up getting him $2,300, and he got very upset with me about it
Why did he get upset with you about it?
because he wanted me to do the full price.
And that was not your debt, right?
No.
So, did Brodes talk to you when this other church reached out to him?
He did.
Did he discuss with you whether or not he should accept it?
Yes.
What did you tell him?
I told him I thought it was a great opportunity for him.
Why?
Because of the things that was being shared to me, that some things he was dealing with within the employment at St. Mark. I thought that would be a great thing for him. So he sent me his resume, told me to change it to performance-based, and I did that, and he went to the interview.
Is Mississippi Boulevard a prestigious church?
To my knowledge,
And you're not from here, right?
no,
You've never lived in Memphis?
I have not.
Did he eventually, to your knowledge, accept that position at Mississippi Boulevard?
Yes,
Did the church have a going away party for Brodes and Tabatha Perry?
I planned a going away party. Actually, he had two. He had one at the Cigar Lounge and then one for the church.
Who planned the party at the Cigar Lounge?
I did.
Who planned the party at the church?
I did.
Who paid for the majority of the gifts?
I did. And then he gave me a backstory on how to be able to elicit money from the other members of the church so that he could have a certain amount of money for when he left.
What do you mean?
Like it was, hey, reach out to the life groups and tell them, I'm going away and we're going to do monetary gifts. So that's what I did.
Did he get monetary gifts from that?
He did.
Before Brodes left, did he give you his new address in Memphis?
Yes.
Now, I want to talk to you about after they moved, okay?
Okay.
Did your relationship with Brodes Perry continue after he moved to Memphis?
Yes.
Would Brodes come back to Little Rock?
He would.
Do you know why he would come? Why he would come back?
Yes. The main reason why he would come back is because of his orthodontics appointments. And then also he was building up a business and a consulting business, and he was beginning to he had one client that he was coming back to begin to do some consulting with.
What would happen when he came in town between the two of y'all?
We would meet up at the hotel and hang out.
I want to, and was that he would come in town and he would contact you?
Yes.
And y'all would get together?
Yes.
Now, I want to talk to you about April the 15th. I'm sorry, not April the 15th, March the 15th of 2019, okay?
Okay.
Did Brodes come in town that day?
He did.
Did he text you?
He did.
Did you meet him at the hotel?
I did.
Do you recall what hotel?
I think it may have been Spring Hill.
What happened after you went to the hotel?
The first time I went to the hotel, it was, just a drop off. He had asked me to bring him, to go buy him something to eat and to stop by and get him some bourbon. After I brought that to him, we made an agreement to meet up later on. I had called him and as it was getting later and say, hey, what time are we going to meet up? And he was just like, I don't know, I'll let you know. But he never called. So I was at home and I was like, I'm just gonna break up with him. Like I'm not gonna do this treatment. Like no. I went to the lounge. I still had some gifts to give him, and he was coming out. And I said, unlock your car, and I started putting the gifts in. Well, once he got closer to me, he just hugged me and gave me the key to the room and was like, go to the room. So I was like, okay, and I did.
And once he hugged you, was it all better?
It was.
Is that kind of how it went with Brodes?
Yes.
So tell me about what happened after that.
That was one of the times that I still had my clothes on. So of course, when he got in there, he's like, why you still got clothes on? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I got undressed. I did tell him, I said, I was coming to break up with you because of the way you're treating me. And he laughed it off and was like, well, why didn't you? And I was like, because you know I really do love you. He came over to the bed, started tickling me. We laughed it off. And then as we began to engage in what I thought was going to be lovemaking, was not that night.
Can you tell me what happened?
As I was performing oral sex on him, he began to thrust himself inside my mouth really hard. And I told him that was hurting. Then he grabbed my hair. I had long hair, and he wrapped my hair around his hand and he started yanking it. And when he wasn't thrusting himself in my mouth, he was pulling my hair really hard. And with his other hand, he would just hit me and hit me and hit me. And I was like, it's hurting. And he was like, you better not bite me. You better not bite me. And then after that, we had sex, and it was just rough, and it was hard, and it was just not what I was used to. And then once we finished, something he never ever does was he rolled over and just gave me the cold shoulder, and I was like, you're not gonna hold me? And he was like, no, and just went to sleep.
How did that make you feel?
I felt so used.
Did that affect you emotionally?
Yes. I was just like, what has always happened to me?
Did you decide anything when you were in that emotional state?
Well, that particular night, I just was, that morning, we stayed the night together, and that morning he got up and he left. He was getting dressed, and I was like, where are you going? Like, we always showered together. And he was like, and I was like, where are you going with still smelling like me? And he was like, none of your business. I was like, since when did you not tell me your schedule? And he left. Well, he was getting ready to leave. So I got up and I got dressed. And as I got dressed, I grabbed the key card for the room off the thing. And he laughed it off, and I left. And later on, I texted and said, hey, are we meeting up again? And he was like, I'll let you know. Of course, the day went on. I had rearranged everything, thinking that he was going to end up we would see each other earlier that day, but I didn't. And so that night, when I still didn't hear from him, I decided to head to the room. And as I was going, he was there. But in my wanting to head to the room, I had made the decision that I was going to kill myself in front of him, because I just wanted him to feel the pain that he was causing me. So when we got in the room, he was already in there by the time I parked and got in. And I pulled out my gun and I told him, you're about to feel the same pain that you've been giving me.
Did you ever threaten him?
No.
Did you threaten yourself?
I told him I was going to kill myself.
What did he do?
He began to tell me no, and he kept saying that he loved me and that we can fix it. And I was just like, no, you're treating me so bad. And he was just like, that's not, I love you, I love you. And eventually he talked me into putting the gun on the counter and coming over and sitting and talking to him.
Did that restore a reason for you to live in that moment?
It did.
Was this the first time that you had gotten to the point of hopelessness, that you felt like you needed to kill yourself?
Not in a relationship, no.
Have you struggled for a long time with depression and suicidal ideations?
Yes.
After Brodes convinced you to put down the gun, did he take the gun away from you?
No.
Did he take the gun from the counter?
It wasn't until I got ready to leave when I went back to try to get it, and then he pushed me out of the way and he got it.
He didn't want you to be able to leave with the gun?
No.
And was he worried what you would do with it?
Yes, but he made me promise to meet him the next morning at the lounge.
Do you know where he put the gun?
At that time, I did not.
But he kept it from you, right?
Yes.
And you later found out that he had placed it in a locker at the cigar lounge?
Yes.
After that happened, did you realize that you needed a little bit of time?
Yes.
What did you do?
I made a plan to go and be with my friend. She is a therapist, but I just needed to get away, and she had an extra room. And so I just told her that I needed her to watch me and to just be there if I needed her. And
was she in Little Rock?
She lived in Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
So how far away from Little Rock?
About a 45-minute drive.
Is she someone that you also worked with?
Yes.
At that point in time, were you pretty desperate for?
Yes, I even was going to go and be with another friend of mine who was a clinician, but she lived in St. Louis. But she then, by the time it was for me to leave one friend to go to her, was then going through some marital issues herself, so I decided not to go to her house.
During the time that you stayed with your friend, were you speaking with Brodes?
Very limited.
When you got back to Little Rock, did you resume speaking with Brodes?
I did.
Were y'all still together at that point?
Yes.
I want to talk to you about April the 4th, 2019, okay?
Yes.
Can you tell me about the text that you got on April the 4th?
I had sent our regular good morning text. I didn't hear anything from him that morning. And then later in the afternoon, I seen what he had responded. And so I opened it up. And it said, I think our time is up. So he had broke up with me via disappearing text.
How did that make you feel?
I felt so used and worthless, and I just felt like trash. Like, who does that to somebody who they say that they love?
You're a man person. How did you react after you read that?
I wrote a letter. I wrote a note, a suicide note to my family, because I was just like, I'm tired. I'm tired of the pain. I'm tired of it all. And I just wanted I wanted the pain to end. So I wrote a note and made a plan to take my life.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Latasha, do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
This is the note that I wrote to my family.
Your Honor, I'd ask that that be made the next numbered exhibit.
Any objection?
Objection, Your Honor. Should be 22.
We'll show the suicide letter as exhibit 22.
Latasha, can you tell me the date and time of that letter?
April 4, 2019 at 3:14 p.m.
Can you read that letter to the jury?
To my family, I'm sorry that I have let you down. I tried my best to be the person you all thought I was. I tried to be the person you could count on and be proud of. However, I have been depressed for a long time. I did well with coping until the past 2 years. My world changed February 24th, 2017. And the shit just keeps getting worse. I know what I have been through may be nothing to some. And you don't understand why I couldn't bounce back. I have fought hard for so long to keep things together. I didn't trust anyone to know deep down how bad I was struggling. Only a few people knew, but they couldn't help me. To my fellas, I'm so sorry that I have let you down. I have fought hard to be the best mother I could be to each of you. I pray that what I have taught you will stick with you forever. Please don't be ashamed of me. Mother, thank you for being my mother. Please know that although you didn't think I loved you, I really did. I wanted so badly for us to be close. There was many times I just wanted to crawl into your arms and have you hold me. I'm sorry for being a failure. I tried to make you proud of me. Words can't explain or express the pain I feel at this moment. I have pretended for so long to be happy. I have tried to work through the pain and begin to heal, but just as my life would have it, yet another loss appears to remind me just how much of a failure I am. I don't have any insurance and I don't have any money, so please just have me cremated and don't worry about a service. I don't want to be a burden. I'm sorry for letting all you down. I love you all so much, and I wish I could live myself as much as I wish I could love myself as much as I love you all. Please take care of my fellas and always remind them of my love for them. I'm not being selfish. I just don't know how. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. This got out of hand, but it says, I'm sorry for letting all of you down, and I love you all so much. I wish I could love myself as much as I love you all. Please take care of my fellas and always remind them of my love for them. I'm not being selfish. I just don't know how to continue bearing the pain I have felt for over 25 years of my life. With each loss, hurt, disappointment, etc. I've experienced through the years, it only added to my current state of mind. I thought I could continue to push through and be strong, the strong Tasha everyone know, but I can't. I'm weak, and I have been for over the past year and a half. I thought I would bounce back. I prayed consistently, but I guess God no longer hears my prayers since I wasn't doing His will. I'm not perfect. I've messed up so many times in my life. The thing I wanted to be the most successful in, I messed up not once but twice. Well, really 3 times. I will leave that for you all to find in my journal.
You wrote that at 3:14 p.m.
Yes.
Where did you leave that?
I left it in my phone because I knew my little sister would find it because she helped me with my appointments. And that's the phone she used for making my appointments.
Did you leave it for her to find?
Yes.
What did you do after you wrote that note?
I drove to Sherwood to go purchase a gun
Why did you go purchase a gun?
because I didn't have my other one.
What was the purpose of the gun?
I wanted to end my life, and I felt like that was going to be the best way to do it.
When you went to that store, were you buying a gun to kill yourself, or were you buying a gun to kill someone else?
I was buying a gun to kill myself. I had a whole plan.
What was your plan?
I didn't want to do it at my house because my son lived with me. So I decided, as I was just thinking about all the pain, to go to this park in Jacksonville, Arkansas.
How far away from Little Rock was that park?
Jacksonville might be about a 20-minute drive from my home. And the reason why I chose that was because that's where Brodes was. He wasn't from Jacksonville, Arkansas, but the Jacksonville part of it was attached to him. And the name of the park was Johnson Park, which was attached to my second ex-husband. And then Ray Road, my daddy's middle name was Ray, so I just associated with all the pain from the men in my life, and so that's where I was gonna go.
How did you go there?
I was gonna drive in my car. It's from my home, it would have been straight down 440.
Is that an interstate?
Yes.
What happened while you were driving to Johnson Park?
As I was driving, I saw the Memphis exit. And so then I was like, go talk to him, Tasha. Just go let him see you. Go see why. And that's what I did. I just drove so I can see him face to face and hope that I can get something from him besides the fact that he broke up with me with a disappearing text. And as I was driving, he did text me, and as he was telling me that he still loved me. So I was trying to just figure out what was going on.
What did you do after you saw the Memphis exit?
I took it, and I drove to Memphis.
Where did you go?
I went down to where I knew he would possibly be, which was a lounge. I guess it's in the downtown Memphis area called The Pocket. At the time, I think it was a fairly new lounge that he, when he got employment at Mississippi Boulevard, one of the members there had told him about.
Did you go to the Pocket because Brodes told you he goes to the Pocket on Thursdays?
Yes.
Do you remember what time you arrived?
I don't. I just know it was dark, and I know that I circled around for approximately 30 minutes trying to find a parking spot because I didn't know that you couldn't like park on the street. That everything down there was paid. Like, and yeah.
Just to back up for a second, when you went to the gun store to buy the gun to kill yourself, what did you take with you?
Just my license and my debit card.
Where was your purse?
I guess I had left it at home.
Did you bring just necessities with you to the gun store?
Yes.
And you left the gun store right after you finished purchasing the gun, right?
Yes.
How did you select the gun?
I went with what was the cheapest that was on. They have a wall that has all the guns, the names, and the prices, and I just chose the cheapest one.
How did you select ammunition?
Whatever the guy told me to get, I got it. Cause I was about to walk out the store till he was like, "Do you need ammunition?" I was like, "Oh yeah," and so he told me whatever he recommended. I was like, "Yes."
And did you see on the video where he was showing you different types of ammunition?
Yes.
Is that what he was saying?
Right. And I
so
told you couldn't hear, but I was like, I don't know. Just whatever you tell me.
When you left the gun store, what did you do with the gun?
I think it was still in the bag. I went home because I did wanted to leave my son something. So I had stopped at the ATM and got out whatever money I could get. And so when I got home, I put that in his room, and then I changed clothes, and I dumped some bullets out on the bed and just grabbed a handful of them and took the gun and left the house.
What did you do with the handful of bullets and the gun?
Once I got in my car, because I was trying to hurry up and leave because I didn't want him to come home while I was there, I loaded the gun in my car. And once whatever was left over, I put everything into my coat pocket that was sitting in the passenger seat.
Now, when you parked downtown, where did you go?
I started walking in the direction in which I knew the lounge was. And once I got on the street, I started walking up the street, and I actually saw Brodes coming out of the lounge, and I walked past him.
Were there any rules in your relationship regarding how to behave when you saw him in public?
Yes, I was not to approach him because I never knew who he may have in his company, so I was not to approach him, but if he acknowledged me, then I could have, talk to him.
Did you come within his sight?
Yes.
Did he acknowledge you?
Yes.
You actually walked right.
I walked past him, and so he said, "So you're just gonna walk past me and not say anything?"
At that point in time, did y'all engage in a conversation?
Yes.
After you talked with Brodes, what did y'all figure out?
Well, we decided that because his thing was I still wasn't wanting to be on board with him and this non-monogamy and have been able to see other women. So we came to I told him, well, we still haven't told Tab. You've always said something about telling Tab, so we haven't told Tabatha. And he said, okay, we'll tell Tabatha. He told me to go to the apartment and just talk to her about tennis until he got there, and that once he was there, we would tell her. He had to go to his boss house to drop off something. And so he gave me a backstory as to what to tell her if she asked me while I was in town. And and we left. But before leaving, we came to the resolve that once we told Tabatha about the relationship, we had a trip that was planned to go. We was going to Kentucky. If she said yes, then that would be a new start, a fresh start. But if she said no, then that would be the trip that we would end.
Did Brodes indicate to you that he was going to tell Tabatha while y'all were at the apartment
Yes.
about your relationship?
Yes.
And what would have happened, or would you have been allowed to tell Tabatha without his okay?
I didn't know.
What would you have been able to continue a relationship with Brodes if you had done that?
No.
So I want to talk to you then about when you left downtown, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Where did you go?
I put in the address that he had given me, and so that address did say Collierville. I didn't know how far away it was or anything. I just placed it in the GPS.
Do you remember what time you arrived at the apartment?
I know it was late. I just remember when we were there and we were talking, I remember the news coming on.
Probably around 9 o'clock?
Yes.
So you left Little Rock, Arkansas at approximately 5 o'clock, right? And drove to downtown Memphis, right?
Yes. Yes.
That takes about 2.5 hours?
Yes.
How long would you say that you were talking with Brodes?
We talked for a while because I remember the valet pulling the car up a ways and getting out, and just because he was sitting in there waiting on him and we never did, so he just pulled it up and we continued to talk.
So then you left downtown, it was dark,
Yes.
drove to Collierville.
Yes.
What did you do when you arrived at the apartment?
I circled around because I couldn't, it was dark and I really couldn't see like numbers or anything. So I circled around, and then I guess eventually I found the building number, and I parked and found my way to their apartment according to the address.
If I may just have one moment, Your Honor. This is part of Exhibit 12. Latasha, is that your car?
Yes.
Is this also a photograph of your vehicle?
Yes.
Which vehicle is yours in that picture?
The silver one?
This one?
Yes.
While you were sitting in your car, did you call Brodes?
I did, and I shared with him that I was a little nervous and could we just go somewhere and talk, and he said no. We're going, you wanted to talk to Tabatha, we're going to talk to her.
Did he answer every time that you called him?
I didn't call him a lot, but I did that night.
Before you walked inside, was there a time that you called him and he didn't answer?
No,
Okay, not that you recall?
not to where I called.
After you had talked to him and he said, no, we're gonna do this, what did you do?
I went to the apartment and knocked on the door.
Were you wearing your coat?
Yes.
When did you put on your coat?
When I got out of the car to go to find him at the lounge.
Is that when you were walking around downtown at night by yourself?
Yes.
Did you ever take your coat off after leaving downtown?
No.
When you left downtown, how would you describe your feelings?
I was a little hopeful. I was like, okay, maybe, we can get some resolve. We can get back to normal. And so that's what I was focused on.
And when he insisted on telling Tabatha, did you get even more hope?
Yes.
So what did you do? Did you get out of your car?
Yes, I got out of my car.
Were you still wearing your jacket?
Yes.
Did it register to you that you had a gun in your pocket?
It did not.
Did you go to the apartment?
I did.
What did you do when you got to the door?
I knocked on the door. And I can't remember, but I ended up bending down. And that's when she said, I'm not going to open the door for someone I don't see. And so I knocked again. And that's when she was like, Tasha, is that you?
What do you mean you bent down?
I don't know if I couldn't remember if it was time or sure or something. I just remember bending down, which is why she didn't see me when I knocked the first time.
You just don't remember?
No, I don't. Yeah.
Who answered the door?
Tabatha.
What did she do when she answered the door?
She once she opened it, she embraced me and said hello and welcomed me in.
Did you go inside?
I did.
Where did you go when you went inside?
She positioned for me to toward the couch, and she sat on one end and I sat on the other.
And that would be Your Honor, if I may put this is part of the cumulative exhibit. Is this the couch that you're referring to?
Yes.
And you were seated on this side?
I was.
And Tabatha was seated on this side?
Yes.
Did you talk to Tabatha?
Yes, we talked. We talked about tennis, but right before we kind of got into the tennis talk, she had made a phone call to Brodes.
And what did she say to him?
She told him, she asked how long it was going to be before he got there. And then she told him she had a surprise for him.
When Tabatha let you into the apartment, did she close the door behind you?
Yes.
You and Tabatha were sitting alone in the apartment with a closed door, right?
Yes.
Would anybody outside of the apartment have been able to see in through that door?
No.
How long did you sit talking with Tabatha?
Again, I know the news ended up coming on, so maybe 15 minutes or so.
At any point, did you pull your gun out and threaten Tabatha?
No.
At any point, did you verbally threaten Tabatha?
No.
At any point, were you trying to hurt Tabatha?
Not at all.
Were you happy to be there about to have this conversation with Tabatha?
Yes.
Was Brodes there yet?
No.
Now, I want to talk to you about when Brodes Perry arrived, okay?
Okay.
When he walked in the door, could you see him?
Yes.
Can you describe his demeanor when he saw you?
When he came in, he didn't look surprised or anything, which is what I thought he would do since he knew I was going to be there. But he was just like, I think Tal was like, surprise. And he was like, this is not a surprise. I thought you had some keto cookies for me. And from there, he was like, what are you doing here? And then I went with the story again that I was in town for a conference. And we just kind of started engaging in small talk. He came and sat beside me. And then after about a minute or so, it was like, would you like a pour?
What is a pour?
A pour is some bourbon.
Did you accept the pour of bourbon?
I did.
Where was Brodes seated?
He was approximately a foot or two from me.
I'm putting back up from the cumulative exhibit,
That blue chair?
this blue chair right
Yes.
here, and you were seated here,
Yes,
and Tabitha was still seated here.
yes.
After you accepted the pour of bourbon from him, did he make any comments about you drinking?
He came back and sat down, and as we were talking, he would make references to me drinking and would say, well, I think you're gonna have to stay the night. So I'm thinking, okay, well, this is about to get into this conversation. But he never would give me eye contact. But he would continue to make, it's like, we have to clean out the bed in there because it has a lot of clothes on it. And, but I'm still looking at him to get, like, to see where are you going with this. But he never did lead into the conversation. He actually started asking me questions like, so where are you staying in Memphis? And I'm like, that wasn't part of what you told me you was gonna say. So I don't know Memphis. He knows I didn't know Memphis. And so I didn't know what to say. I finally said an Airbnb. And then Tabitha was like, where? And I was like, downtown. And then that conversation ended. And he continued to say something about me staying the night, but never going into the conversation of what we were supposed to be talking about.
Had you ever been into that apartment before?
No.
On April the 4th, when you were there, what part of the apartment did you go into?
I walked through the front door, which led into a small little hallway and right into their kitchen area.
And then into the living room?
And then into, yes.
Did you go into any bedroom?
No.
Your Honor, this is part of the cumulative exhibit 13. Did you ever go into the guest bedroom?
I did not.
What is all over the bed in the guest bedroom?
Clothes?
Had you seen that?
No.
But those are the clothes Brodes was talking about?
Yes.
When he was talking about clearing off the bed and you sleeping over, did you think that was his jumping off point to talk to Tabitha?
I thought so.
How were you feeling at that point?
Very nervous.
Were you also excited?
I think I was more nervous because I just didn't know which way it was going to go, but hopeful.
At some point, you lost hope.
Yes.
And you said you were going to leave.
Yes.
Why did you decide to leave?
I saw that it wasn't going anywhere. Like I said, he was not giving me eye contact. So I knew, or I felt like he had changed his mind. And I just didn't want to keep sitting there feeling, at that point, stupid.
What happened after you said you were going to leave?
Tabitha got up, he got up, and so she began to tell me about watching for the police, you know, because I had been drinking.
Had you drank a lot?
No, not at all. But she still was just letting me know. And she began to walk toward the door. And I asked him, would he walk me out? He said no. And I said, why not, sir? That's Southern hospitality for you to walk a woman outside when it's dark. Because I wanted to just get him to see, like, what happened. Why didn't you follow through? But he refused to walk me out. So Tabitha opened the door and was walking out. I was still trying to get him to walk me out. And as I reached into my pockets to get my keys, I remember being outside the door, and then the next thing I was standing in their kitchen.
Do you deny that you shot Brodes Perry?
I do not.
Do you deny that you shot Tabitha?
I don't, but I know it wasn't intentional.
Did you mean to shoot Tabitha?
No, I wasn't trying to hurt anybody.
When you went to that apartment that day, did you intend to use your gun on either Brodes or Tabitha?
No.
when you went there, what was your purpose in going there?
Thinking that I was gonna get some kind of ending to the relationship.
And what do you mean?
Like, okay, of course, after I got to, talking to him at the lounge, we had a plan. It was either gonna be a start or an ending, but it was something that I could see, like I knew it wasn't just a disappearing text but it's still, I love you, So I went to the apartment, I guess, for lack of a better word, to get some resolve.
Did you have hope, given that Tabatha was open to the open marriage?
I was nervous about that because, like I said, he had told me she had these rules about not nobody that you know and things like that. So I'm like, she knows me. So I don't know what that was gonna be like. I didn't even think about anything beyond that.
As far as Tabatha goes, this is a person that you became friendly with, right?
Correct.
How did you balance that with having an affair with her husband?
It was very hard. She, like, we started off, she had approached me to invite me to lunch. It came out of nowhere, and I didn't know, like, what was really going on, because by this time, Brodes had been talking about us being sister wives, and so when she asked me, I was a little confused, because I'm like, okay, has he talked to her about it? But she never said anything about our relationship. Even when we began to play tennis, it was her who initiated it. So it was uncomfortable for me, but we were friendly. And it was hard, but I still did it because I wasn't going to tell her, because I love Brodes.
When Brodes told you that he wouldn't walk you outside, he said, Tab will do it. How did that make you feel?
Rejected, unworthy, stupid. I was so stupid. And it hurt so bad.
Were you angry or were you hurt?
I was hurt.
Were you thinking clearly when you pulled the trigger?
No.
Were you reacting to that situation?
Yes.
Was that a traumatic situation for you too, in retrospect?
Oh, yes. I hate what happened. I'm so very sorry. I never wanted to hurt anybody. I've spent most of my life helping. I never would intentionally try to hurt anybody.
Did you ever plan to kill Brodes Perry?
Never.
When you drove to Memphis, were you driving to Memphis to kill Brodes Perry?
No.
Why did you drive to Memphis?
I drove because I just wanted to see him.
Why?
I wanted him to explain why he did that.
Did you hope he would say, we can be together?
Yes.
Did he give you that hope when you went to the apartment?
He did.
Did he yank that hope away?
He did.
Did
he often did.
Did you break in that moment?
I shattered.
Did you ever intend to hurt Tabatha?
No.
Did you even realize that you had shot her?
No.
That's all I have.
Cross-examination.
Ms. Daniels, I'm going to take you back to April 4th, 2019 at around 4 o'clock. You remember yesterday when we introduced that surveillance footage of you at the gun store, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you know that that was you in the gun store.
That was me.
And you purchased a gun that day.
I did.
And you also purchased ammunition that day.
I did.
And when you went to that gun store, you brought your state-issued ID, correct?
Yes,
And you brought your credit card, correct?
I did.
And once you left with that gun and the ammunition, you didn't go to Jacksonville, did you?
No,
You drove to Memphis,
no. I drove home.
but you eventually ended up in Memphis, did you not?
That is correct.
And you chose to go see Brodes Perry, correct?
Yes, I chose to go see him.
A man that you chose to be involved with.
When I first encountered Mr. Perry for counseling, I did not choose to be with him. I went to him for direction, not a relationship.
It's a yes or no question. You chose to be involved with him after you met him, did you not?
Yes,
And when you got to Memphis, and after you talked to Mr. Perry, you drove to his apartment, correct?
yes, I drove to his apartment.
And from Sherman, Arkansas to Memphis, it's about a 3-hour drive, right?
According to what has been said, I wasn't counting.
And when you got to that apartment, you talked to Mrs. Perry.
Yes,
And when you got to that apartment, you stayed there and you talked with her for about 20 minutes. Correct?
yes, we talked for about 20 minutes.
And then once Mr. Perry got there, you talked to him.
Yes,
And while they were gracious enough to walk you out of their apartment after an unexpected visit, you got your gun out, didn't you?
it wasn't unexpected for him.
But for Miss Perry, it was.
It was.
And after you exited, you decided to take your gun out, correct?
No,
And after you exited, you shot Mrs. Perry, did you not?
my
Yes or no?
actions resulted in them being shot, yes.
And then you shot Mr. Perry, did you not?
It wasn't a conscious decision, but yes.
But you didn't do it because you lost control. You did it because you thought he deserved it.
No, I love Brodes. I would have never intentionally hurt him. No, ma'am.
You did it because he broke your heart.
No, ma'am.
No further questions, Your
Were you in a good state of mind that day?
I was not. I was
All
not.
day?
I was not my healthy self. No.
When you came to Memphis, did you come to Memphis out of anger or out of love?
I came out of love.
Did Brodes expect you to be there when he walked in?
Yes.
Did that visit go the way that you expected it?
It did not.
Did it end the way you expected it to?
It most definitely did not.
Did you go there to hurt anyone?
No, I did not.
Who did you plan to hurt
I
that
wanted
day?
to hurt myself. I wanted to end my own life that day. That's it, and that's all.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
The church community organized multiple memorials and tributes. A memorial entry was recorded on Gun Memorial. Local media provided detailed coverage. Community response emphasized the impact of the loss on outreach programs and mentorship structures previously led by Perry. Family, church members, and counseling beneficiaries experienced long-term adjustment challenges. Survivors spoke publicly only after trial completion. Restoration and redirection of church leadership proceeded according to organizational procedures. At approximately 10:20 p.m., the confrontation in the Collierville, Tennessee, apartment escalated sharply. Latoshia Daniels, who had been sitting with Brodes Perry and his wife, suddenly produced a 9mm Ruger. Without hesitation, she raised the weapon. She spoke clearly, repeating a single phrase, "You broke my heart." That statement, uttered more than once, framed what followed. She fired the first shot. The bullet struck Pastor Perry. His wife, startled, tried to intercede. Daniels spoke over the chaos, instructing Perry's wife to move out of her line of fire. Within seconds, she fired again. Perry collapsed to the floor. Additional shots followed. The firing continued until cyclical reloading began. During this period, his wife was also struck, sustaining an injury to her shoulder. Rather than flee or pause, Daniels rechambered her Ruger in the apartment. She reloaded, preparing to continue, despite the gravity of what she had already done. Moments later, law enforcement arrived on the scene. Officers issued commands, ordering her to drop the weapon. She refused. A standoff ensued. Daniels remained armed, holding her ground. Officers entered the apartment. According to reports, Daniels physically resisted arrest. She attempted to assault at least one officer, struggling against their efforts to take her into custody. Despite her resistance, officers subdued her and eventually disarmed and arrested her. She was taken into custody without further shots being fired by law enforcement. Once the scene was secured, investigators began collecting and analyzing evidence. At the crime scene, they recovered bullet casings and the 9mm Ruger handgun. Forensic teams confirmed through analysis that all the shots fired that night came from that same Ruger. Experts reconstructed the three-dimensional trajectories of the bullets, mapping out entry and exit points. They determined approximate positions of both victims at the time of each shot, reconstructing a detailed map of where each person was standing and where each round struck. Ballistic experts also counted the number of shots fired. The number of casings indicated multiple rounds, corroborating both eyewitness testimony and audio from 911 calls. The analysis of shot locations showed a pattern. Some rounds had struck Perry from relatively close range, while others seemed to miss or graze, indicating rapid firing under stress. The location and angle of bullet impacts suggested deliberate aiming, as well as movement by both shooter and victims. Simultaneously, a psychological evaluation of Latoshia Daniels was undertaken by forensic psychiatrists. They reviewed her personal history, including reports of childhood trauma, and assessed her mental health state at the time of the crime. The evaluation concluded that she exhibited signs of emotional instability, with a history of depression and possibly untreated psychological wounds. She described deep feelings of betrayal and heartbreak. In court, her defense argued that she was not simply acting out of anger, but rather suffering a psychological collapse, a combination of personal loss, emotional isolation, and mental health strain. Investigators also reviewed her digital footprint. Cell phone records were subpoenaed and examined for patterns of communication prior to the shooting, calls, texts, and locations. Analysts looked for evidence of planning, whether she had researched guns, searched for self-harm content, or communicated about confrontation. They also reviewed her internet history for searches related to suicide or weapon use. While some of this data was contested by the defense, the prosecution introduced portions to argue that she had a premeditated state of mind. The digital trail, combined with physical evidence and psychiatric assessments, created a composite picture of her mental and behavioral state in the weeks and days leading up to the shooting. Following her arrest, legal proceedings commenced immediately. She was formally charged with multiple counts: first-degree murder for the killing of Pastor Perry, attempted first-degree murder for attempting to kill his wife, possession and use of a firearm during a felony, assault on a law enforcement officer for resisting and physically attacking officers, resisting arrest for her failure to comply with police commands when they arrived. In pretrial hearings, her defense team requested a mental health evaluation, citing her emotional instability, trauma history, and the possibility that she acted under diminished capacity. Due to the severity of the crime and her alleged risk, bail was initially denied. At her first court appearance, she entered a plea of not guilty. The court approved a forensic psychiatric assessment, and experts were appointed to evaluate whether she was legally competent to stand trial and whether mental health factors could reduce her culpability. These evaluations would become central to the defense's strategy. Ahead of the trial, the jury selection process began. Given the high-profile nature of the crime, involving a pastor, a violent death, and a betrayal narrative, selecting impartial jurors was challenging. Both prosecution and defense vetted potential jurors closely for bias around religious violence, mental health defenses, and crimes of passion. When the trial opened, the prosecution's case focused on establishing motive, intent, and premeditation. They emphasized her repeated verbal statement, "You broke my heart." The fact that she traveled to Tennessee, that she was armed upon arrival, and that she reloaded after firing. Expert witnesses, ballistic specialists, crime scene analysts, and behavioral psychologists testified to the seriousness of her actions and the calculated nature of the crime. The defense countered with their own narrative. Latoshia Daniels was not a cold-blooded murderer, but a deeply disturbed individual. Her history of trauma, her professional background as a social worker, and her prior mental health struggles formed the basis of their argument. They claimed she purchased the firearm for self-harm, not to kill another person. They also presented her emotional bond to Perry, arguing she had felt betrayed and manipulated, and that her emotional collapse precipitated a tragic act. Throughout the trial, witnesses provided detailed testimony. Perry's wife described the moments before the shooting, the impact of being struck, and the shock of watching her husband fall. Forensic experts walked the jury through the crime scene reconstructions, explaining bullet trajectories and the number of shots fired. Psychiatrists described her mental state, her trauma history, her emotional instability, and her current capacity. After closing arguments, the jury deliberated. They returned a verdict: guilty of second-degree murder, a lesser charge than first-degree, and reckless endangerment for the wife's injury. She was found not guilty on the firearm during felony charge. As part of the verdict, her bond was revoked. This examination of the shooting, the investigation, and the legal process reveals not just the mechanics of a crime, but a layered narrative of planning, mental health, and personal history. Evidence drawn from the crime scene, ballistic science, psychological assessment, and digital records combined to build a case that went beyond a single gunshot. The prosecution emphasized motive and intent, while the defense focused on trauma, emotional collapse, and diminished capacity. The trial did not result in a first-degree murder conviction, but the guilty verdict on second-degree murder showed that the jury believed her actions were unlawful, intentional, and avoidable. The case raises complex questions about heartbreak, responsibility, and the role of mental health in violent crime. The legal proceedings surrounding the murder case centered on reconstructing the events, establishing motive, and determining whether the defendant acted under sudden emotional distress or through calculated intention. Court presentations focused heavily on behavioral analysis, forensic evidence, and testimonial credibility. The trial provided extensive insight into the psychological dynamics between the defendant and the victim, emphasizing the contrast between external appearances and internal emotional disturbances. The prosecution established motive through documented interactions and witness testimony highlighting prolonged emotional fixation. The defendant allegedly exhibited extreme jealousy, anger, and rejection-based emotional distress, directed toward the victim following the breakdown of their personal relationship. Prosecution evidence indicated that emotions escalated over time rather than emerging spontaneously. Investigators confirmed that the defendant traveled interstate carrying a loaded firearm, which prosecutors asserted as proof of premeditation. The firearm was not only present but accessible, placed deliberately within reach. The prosecution emphasized that travel logistics, weapon procurement, and timing suggested planned confrontation, contradicting claims of impulsive behavior. Multiple witnesses confirmed hearing the defendant repeatedly state, "You broke my heart," moments before the shooting. Prosecutors presented this as a direct verbal connection between emotional motive and physical action, arguing it demonstrated intentional retaliation rather than psychological collapse. Forensic reconstruction identified a reload action during the shooting sequence. The weapon was discharged, paused, reloaded, and fired again. Prosecutors described this as a critical point of consciousness, conveying that a moment existed where the defendant could have disengaged. Choosing instead to reload signified deliberate continuation of force. Ballistic evidence confirmed close-range firing, signifying the victim was in immediate proximity, without defensive barriers. This suggested purposeful targeting rather than chaotic firing. Prosecutors concluded that these actions, combined with travel pre-planning, firearm accessibility, and repeated confrontational statements, proved intent beyond temporary emotional instability. The defense focused on psychological deterioration and emotional overload. They argued that the defendant experienced a prolonged mental collapse stemming from unprocessed trauma and an alleged dependency on the victim for emotional support. Expert evaluations indicated signs of depressive episodes, emotional dysregulation, and potential suicidal ideation. The defense acknowledged firearm possession but claimed it was purchased with the intention of self-harm, not violence against others. They asserted that the defendant's actions resulted from a sudden psychological break triggered by rejection and perceived abandonment. Defense claims included suggestions of emotional manipulation or mistreatment by the victim, stating that the defendant felt misled and emotionally exploited. They interpreted the repeated phrase, "You broke my heart," not as proof of planned retaliation, but as evidence of severe emotional collapse. Defense experts described the defendant's behavior as impulsive and uncharacteristic, asserting that mental instability outweighed rational decision-making during the incident. The victim's wife provided critical testimony, recounting the moments of confrontation and the sequence of actions inside the residence. Her testimony confirmed statements made by the defendant and assisted in establishing the timeline of the shooting. Police officers responded to the incident and testified to the condition of the scene upon arrival. They described the positioning of the victim, weapon recovery, and immediate medical response. Law enforcement confirmed there were no signs of forced entry or struggle, supporting the prosecution's argument of direct confrontation. Medical professionals testified regarding the nature of the injuries. They confirmed that the gunshot wounds matched the close-range firing pattern presented by the forensic analysis. Additional testimony detailed the unsuccessful medical intervention efforts. Forensic experts analyzed ballistic trajectories, weapon functionality, and the reload mechanism. Their testimony substantiated that the firearm was operated with controlled handling, reinforcing the prosecution's premeditation argument. After reviewing the evidence, jury deliberation focused on whether the defendant acted with intent or under temporary emotional impairment. Ultimately, the jury concluded that the circumstances demonstrated intentional action. The defendant was found guilty of second-degree murder and guilty of reckless endangerment, acknowledging risk to others present during the incident. However, the jury returned a not guilty verdict regarding the firearm aggravated felony charge, citing insufficient evidence of additional aggravating circumstances beyond those included in the murder finding. Following the verdict, the defendant's bond was immediately revoked, and custody was remanded. A sentencing hearing was scheduled, during which additional impact statements and psychological assessments would be considered. Under Tennessee law, sentencing guidelines for second-degree murder typically range from 15 to 60 years, depending on criminal history and aggravating factors. Members of the victim's family prepared impact statements, addressing ongoing trauma, emotional damage, and long-term implications of the crime. These were scheduled to be delivered during the sentencing hearing. The defense indicated potential appeal considerations, focusing on emotional and psychological factors not fully recognized during the trial. The victim's wife underwent medical treatment for physical injuries sustained during the event. Additionally, she experienced ongoing trauma associated with witnessing the incident firsthand. Family discussions described long-term grief, reassessment of trust, and difficulty reconciling the sudden loss. Extended relatives reported disrupted family dynamics and prolonged psychological distress, particularly among those dependent on the victim for guidance or leadership. The victim held a respected position within religious circles, resulting in significant community impact. Church members expressed shock at both the violence and the underlying emotional circumstances. Memorial events and prayer gatherings were organized in remembrance. The incident generated discussions regarding the vulnerabilities of leadership and the often hidden nature of interpersonal emotional relations within community settings. Media outlets focused on the emotional motive behind the crime, highlighting the repeated phrase, "You broke my heart," which circulated widely on social platforms. Public response was divided between emphasis on mental health struggles and demands for strict accountability. The case prompted commentary regarding responsible boundaries in spiritual leadership contexts, as well as the potential consequences of emotionally dependent relationships. The case spotlighted the intersection of emotional instability and violence. Legal experts discussed whether mental breakdown should be considered separately from conscious decision-making in cases involving fatal outcomes. The incident revealed issues relating to trust breaches, emotional dependency, covert personal tensions, and unresolved psychological conflict. Analysts emphasized the significance of psychological support structures and early intervention. Unregulated emotional entanglements, secrecy, and manipulation were identified as contributing factors to escalating tension. The crime represented the final outcome of prolonged emotional strain left unaddressed. A human life was permanently lost, and consequences extended across families, congregations, and communities. While legal judgment was delivered, emotional repercussions remained unresolved. The case underscores the necessity of firm personal boundaries, awareness of emotional trauma, and proactive attention to psychological health to prevent irreversible outcomes. If you found this story as gripping and heartbreaking as we did, don't forget to like this video and share it with others. And if you want to hear more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind these tragic events, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest stories, updates, and discussions.